Good Wednesday morning prospect. I have a couple of things today, and I'm going to spend most of my time on the second one. But every year, about this time and in June, I start getting emails from well-meaning, I believe, institutions who feel like we shouldn't celebrate Mother's Day or Father's Day because not everybody had a good mother or father. And I have to admit, that confuses me. And please understand, I've sat with people that didn't have good mothers and good fathers who have been abused. I've talked with them. I understand that's very real. But what I don't understand is pretending like the holiday doesn't exist. In 1940, on my birthday, the entire town of Coventry was obliterated during a German bombing raid. Should I not celebrate my birthday? The other reason that this bothers me is that even if your own individual mother or father was not a good mother or father, as Christians, we have God as the perfect model for what that's supposed to be. Excuse me. And so, while I will sit and grieve with you, I'm not going to pretend like the day doesn't exist, and I'm not going to ignore it. And I hope you understand why. Second, tomorrow is the National Day of Prayer. And it is my fondest hope that we have, I'd love to have a church full of people at 10 o'clock on Thursday morning. But if we don't, we don't. So what do we pray for on the National Day of Prayer that is so different than what we do as prayer warriors every week? Well, for one thing, we're going to pray for the nation. And when I say that, I'm saying that when we pray for the nation, we actually pray for our leaders. The president, the vice president, the leadership of the House, the leadership of the Senate, our individual senators and congresspeople. We pray for our state government, for Governor Kemp, and for the lieutenant governor, and for the people who are in leadership positions in the state. We also pray for our local governments, both at the county and the city levels. They actually have a whole lot more to do with how our lives are affected than the federal government, but we pray for those leaders as well. And we stop and pray for the military. I've said this in church a lot, that I have some specific prayers for the military that I think you might do well to incorporate. The men and women who are serving away from their homes, stand in the gap for you and I. They do the things that they do so that you and I can live our lives as normally as possible. So one of my prayers whenever I pray for the military is that they are fully present at their duty station. I don't want them distracted by issues back home. I don't want them worrying about whether or not the house payment is going to be made or whether the house needs painting, because you get distracted and your mind wanders and then you can get hurt or killed. But I also want them to return home in strength and health and power to assume the leadership positions that are being prepared for them. So I'm always about praying for our military. And for me, right behind that comes our first responders. I don't care what you think about individual actions of the police. As a group, they are the people, the men and the women who run towards the sounds of fighting and disturbance and gunshots. They also stand a post and stand in the gap. And we need people who will stand in that gap, because the world has wolves, and wolves need to be dealt with. Firemen, all of our firefighters are the same way. I cannot imagine running into a burning house. I don't believe it's in my constitution. But there are men and women who are trained and who have in their constitution to go into burning buildings to try and rescue people and put out fires. We need them, and we need to pray for them. Paramedics. I've been on the side of the road with too many people, and I hope none of you have ever seen a bad accident, but I have. And first responders do an amazing job. They are just absolutely fantastic men and women. The doctors and the nurses at the hospitals we need to pray for. I don't know if you think about it. I do, because of the nature of what I do. Because I pray for people, and I pray hard, and sometimes God chooses to heal them and they get well, and sometimes God does not choose to heal them. And I don't know why. And I know physicians and nurses and medical professionals, they treat people, and sometimes the treatments work and sometimes the treatments don't. And I'm not sure if most people really understand the potential for depression that kind of thing creates. So pray for all of the people in the medical profession. We also need to pray for people in the media, because as much grief as they get, and a lot of it might be deserved, they also, they're standing on the scene. That is something that we need to take into account. And pray for our business leaders, our educators, all of the men and women who are teaching our children, who are caring for them, because it's not just feeding facts, it is caring for them. And our business leaders, if business isn't successful, an awful lot of us are going to go hungry. And finally, on the National Day of Prayer, we need to pray for the church. Again, no matter what you think of it, the church is God's chosen instrument for taking the good news of Jesus Christ into the world. And while not every church does that well, it's still every church's call and commission, and we need to make sure that we pray for all of our churches. And I'm not embarrassed to say, please pray for all of the pastors, because all of us need your prayer desperately. I hope to see you tomorrow. God bless you. God keep you. And may God make his face to shine upon you.